Your brain does not want you to find the perfect, peaceful partner. It is actively scanning the room for the exact type of emotional chaos that hurt you as a child. We like to think our romantic choices are guided by destiny, chemistry, or some mysterious pull of the soul. The reality is far more clinical and, frankly, terrifying. Your adult love life is a highly sophisticated, subconscious theatrical reenactment of your early childhood wounds. You are not choosing partners based on who they are. You are choosing them based on how closely they match the unfinished business of your past. Today, we are going to unlock the exact neural pathways that form this subconscious relationship blueprint. You will understand how your early environment literally wired your nervous system to mistake familiarity for safety, and how you can finally break this biological loop. Why do you find yourself sitting across from yet another person who cannot tell you how they feel, wondering how you ended up here again? It feels like a curse, but it is just neuroscience. To understand why your brain does this, we have to look at the brain as a prediction machine. During the first 7 years of your life, your brain is in a highly plastic, almost sponge-like state, operating primarily in delta and theta brainwave frequencies. This is the exact state used for deep hypnosis. This is when your neural architecture is mapping out what love looks like. If your primary caregivers were emotionally unavailable, volatile, hypercritical, or inconsistent, your developing brain did not reject them. It could not, because doing so would mean physical abandonment, which to an infant means death. Instead, your brain adapted. It wired a fundamental equation deep into your neural circuitry. Love equals struggle. Love equals abandonment, or love equals earning approval. Let us look at the science of how this physical wiring happens. In a landmark study by Dr. Ruth Feldman in 2012, researchers tracked the neural synchrony between infants and their parents using advanced electroencephalography hyperscanning. They measured the simultaneous brain activity of mother and child during face-to-face interactions. They discovered that when the parent and child were in sync, the infant's brain literally synchronized its neural rhythms and oxytocin release patterns with the parent's behavior. If the parent was emotionally warm and responsive, the child's brain wired pathways associated with safety, self-regulation, and ease. But if the parent was distracted, cold, or highly stressed, the infant's prefrontal cortex showed a sharp drop in coherence, and their amygdala, the threat detector of the brain, was forced to work overtime. This means your very capacity for emotional regulation, your baseline for what feels normal in a connection, was calibrated by another person's nervous system before you could even speak. Think of this neural wiring like a heavy-duty bobsled track in the snow. Every time you experienced a specific emotional dynamic in childhood, say, waiting anxiously for an emotionally distant father to notice you, your brain fired a specific sequence of neurons. The more that sequence fired, the deeper that bobsled track became, wearing down through the snow and into the hard dirt. By the time you are an adult, that bobsled track is so deep that any other path feels nearly impossible to navigate. When you meet someone who is stable, warm, and emotionally available, your bobsled does not do dots. It feels foreign. It feels boring. Why? Because your brain is screaming that this person is unsafe simply because they are unfamiliar. Your survival-oriented brain interprets the predictable, peaceful path as uncharted territory, and therefore a potential threat. This brings us to the ultimate mind-bending revelation of relationship psychology. The intense, intoxicating spark we chase in adult romance is almost never a sign of healthy love. It is your amygdala recognizing a familiar threat. When you walk into a room and instantly feel drawn to one specific person out of a crowd of 50, your subconscious mind has just run a lightning-fast diagnostic scan. It did not scan for their kindness, their intelligence, or their compatibility. It identified the one person whose wounds perfectly match your wounds. Your brain is playing a game of emotional lock and key. If your key is fear of abandonment, your brain will hunt for the lock of emotional unavailability. It wants to recreate the childhood pain so that this time you can finally win the game, force the distant person to love you, and heal the wound. But you cannot heal a childhood wound by using the same dysfunctional dynamics that created it. Instead, you just run the loop again and again. Let us look at a study by Dr. Helen Fisher in 2005. Using functional magnetic resonance imaging, her team scanned the brains of individuals who had recently been rejected by their romantic partners, but were still deeply in love. The scans revealed that romantic rejection activates the exact same neural regions associated with physical pain, specifically the anterior insular and the anterior cingulate cortex. But here is the kicker: it also lit up the reward system, the ventral tegmental area, and the nucleus accumbens, flooding the brain with dopamine. This is the exact same neural signature of a cocaine addict craving a hit. Your brain literally becomes addicted to the chase of the person who is pulling away. It is a biological loop of pain and reward. Before you understand this science, you are a passenger in a car driven by your childhood conditioning. You meet someone distant, your dopamine spikes, you chase them, they pull away, your pain centers light up, you chase harder, and you call it passionate love. After you understand this, you see the pattern for what it is. You realize that the spark is not a green light, it is a hazard light. Stop! Let that sink in. The very feeling you have been using as your compass for finding love is actually the warning signal of your past trauma being reactivated. Your brain prefers a familiar hell to an unfamiliar heaven. It is a shocking realization, but once you see it, you cannot unsee it. You realize that your exes were not random mistakes. They were cast members you hired to play the roles of your parents in a play you have been writing since you were 5 years old. Now that we have dismantled the illusion of the spark, how do we actually rewire this biological machinery? You cannot simply think your way out of a pattern that was wired into your nervous system through decades of repetition. You must actively train your brain to build new neural pathways, using your behavior to force your biology to adapt. Here are 3 highly specific, actionable techniques to break the cycle. First, implement the somatic pause. When you meet someone new and feel that overwhelming, obsessive rush of chemistry, the sweaty palms, the racing heart, the constant checking of your phone, your sympathetic nervous system is in a state of high arousal. Instead of leaning into it, pause. Take a deep, slow breath, breathing out for longer than you breathe in to stimulate your vagus nerve. Label the physical sensation. Ask yourself, is this connection or is this anxiety? By naming the state, you shift processing from your reactive amygdala to your analytical prefrontal cortex. You interrupt the automatic bobsled run before it gains momentum, giving yourself the space to choose your next step instead of reacting blindly. Second, use the boredom filter. This is an incredibly difficult pill to swallow. If you are used to emotional instability, a healthy, secure person will initially feel boring to your nervous system. There is no drama, no push and pull, no waiting hours for a text. Your brain, starving for its usual chemical roller coaster, will try to convince you that there is no chemistry or that the connection isn't there. Commit to going on at least 5 dates with someone who feels boring but treats you with consistency, kindness, and respect. Give your nervous system time to settle down and realize that peace is not the enemy of passion. You are teaching your brain to recalibrate its definition of safety, slowly wearing down a new, healthier bobsled track in your neural landscape. Third, practice cognitive reframing of the chase. The moment you feel the urge to chase someone who is pulling away from you, stop your physical actions. Do not text them. Do not call them. Do not analyze their behavior with your friends. Instead, sit with the discomfort, pick up a pen, and write down the exact feeling you are trying to escape. Are you trying to escape the feeling of being unwanted? Identify the earliest childhood memory that matches this exact emotional state. Once you link the adult impulse to the childhood memory, the power of the impulse weakens. You realize you are not chasing a partner. You are trying to convince your parent from 20 years ago that you are worthy of love. By refusing to chase, you show your nervous system that you can survive the discomfort of rejection without needing to fix it. Take a moment to look back at your relationship history through this new lens. Think of the arguments, the heartbreaks, the constant feelings of inadequacy. You were not foolish. You were not broken. You were simply a child who learned a survival strategy, carrying that strategy into an adult world where it no longer works. Every dysfunctional partner you chose was just your subconscious mind trying to find its way home. But you do not live in that childhood home anymore. You are the architect of your own brain now. You have the power to consciously choose who walks through your door, and you no longer have to accept the love that feels familiar if that love continues to hurt you. You can choose a new familiar, one built on safety, respect, and mutual growth. Now you know the hidden blueprint. You see the invisible strings that have been pulling your decisions. Go out and observe your own reactions this week. Watch your brain search for the old tracks and consciously choose to step off them. If you want to continue decoding the hidden biological forces that run your life, make sure you are subscribed to Habit Decoded. There is another, even more deeply hidden neural system that dictates how you perceive status, power, and belonging in every social room you walk into. We will unlock that code next.